In this week's episode, we'll be discussing the never boring kicking drills, how to keep students fired up with Alex Wong. Welcome to Black Belt Banter, the best podcast to help your martial arts school increase profits and generate substantial revenue. I'm Jimmy Hong. I'm joined by my resident expert, Master Tony Chung. And we're excited to welcome Miss Alex Wong, third degree TaeKwonDo black belt, an instructor, content creator, and then the mind behind the hugely popular YouTube channel, Alex Wong TKD. On her channel, she has 150,000 subscribers. Alex drops tutorials, endurance kick sessions, sparring tips, and creative kicking drills that have helped thousands of practitioners level up. In this episode, we'll be diving into how to make every class feel fun, engaging, and challenging. Welcome to the show, Miss Alex. Excited to have you. Let's just begin right away. What separates just an okay class from a truly fun, high energy one?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say obviously the biggest thing is just energy and really making sure everyone's engaged in the class. And then another plus is also I like to watch the parents in the lobby, kind of see if they're kind of either on their phones or on their laptops or watching the class, seeing what's going on, seeing what their child is doing. So I would say just really making sure things stay moving, keep the kids engaged, and make sure they're sweating at the end of the day too.
So is your class just right after exercises? Are they just high energy moving throughout the whole class, or is there some downtime?
I'm sure she'd like
What-
that. We have a bunch of curriculum she has to go through. Yes.
Yes.
That was one of my question is, do you have a set curriculum that you have to incorporate, or is it spontaneous, or do you just mix it all up together? How does that work?
So we do have a set curriculum, but I try to get creative with the ways I teach it or go out of order sometimes. That way it's not the same, just like we do A, B, C workout and we're done. We always start with a warm up, and then after that I try to mix in some of like their pumse, try to mix that in with a little bit of maybe their hand strikes because they're doing basic hand strikes as well. So kind of going back and forth. That way it's not just like same thing and doing forms too much back to back as well.
Just for our audience to know, Ms. Alex Wong is actually one of the head instructors for Master Tony Chung's his schools. Is that right, Master
Yes,
Chung?
sir. She runs the Smyrna location. She's actually a fourth Dan. She's going close to mastership in the next few years. But yeah, Alex has been with us for about 8 years.
How did that develop?
You want to tell them how you met? I was at like a tournament kind of scrimmage, and it's live sparring with a bunch of, anybody can spar anybody. It's like a scramble scrimmage. And
We call that a rumble. in
a
California.
rumble. Okay, so it's like a rumble. And this lady was beating up all the guys. I was like, who is this? Who is this lady? And then she had a little camera crew. She had a little guy with the camera. Her husband, Jack, was there. And then they just had this little team. And I was like, what are you? And she's like, oh, I'm a YouTuber. And I was like, oh, how many subscribers do you have? And she was like, 30,000. I was like, oh my gosh, you're like a millionaire. And then she was like, no. And I was like,
She has 150,000 now
now,
subscribers. I just checked.
she got a silver play button and all that. But that's how I met her. And then I needed a female instructor because my organization at that time, we had like all of our female instructors that were coming up were all teenagers. So I was asking her what her plans were and this and that. And it was actually quite.
Wait, I'm sorry. Why did you need specifically a female? Why couldn't it just be an instructor?
Oh, it was interesting.
Why a
like
female?
at that time we had done our statistics, and let's say we had about 1,000 students or so. We had noticed that upon enrollment, about 30% of our student population was female, but then about 45% of our black belt candidates were female. So we noticed that like our retention for female were so great. Girls love TaeKwonDo. And I was like, I had noticed early on, man, we have all dudes. We need a female instructor. And all of the female instructors that were down the pipeline, they're either too young or they're not high enough in rank. So when I met Alex, she's obviously a competitive black belt. And I just started talking to her. I was like, what do you do? And I think you were like a vet tech or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I was like, hey, I'd like to hire you. So her and her husband, Jack, came and visited. And yeah, you'd have to tell them the story because she drove. There's no way for 6 months because she fulfilled her lease commitment, right? She didn't want to break her lease. And I wanted her to start right away. I cannot believe she drove 5 to 6 days a week. It's like she came from Chattanooga to Smyrna. So that's like a hour and a half to 2 hour drive each way. She did that for 6 months and she was not late one time. I was late more than her. Fascinating.
You tell us a little bit about that, Miss Alex?
Yes, sir. So, yeah, I met Grandmaster Chung at a scrimmage. He offered me to come work and teach. And I was like, maybe we'll think about it. So, my husband and I came and visited. And I still was kind of not 100%, sure, because it was going to be a big commitment moving to Atlanta eventually. And I was like, well, maybe we'll just try it and I'll just make the drive. And
Yeah.
after 6 months, we found an apartment. We moved down here. And we made it work.
She actually did a video. You did a
Oh,
video
yeah.
and you moving down to Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
So before that, you weren't like an instructor at a different martial arts
No, I
studio.
was working 40 to 50 hours a week at an animal shelter.
Oh. And then you did a career change into the martial arts,
Yes.
TaeKwonDo.
Yeah, well, I had asked her, I was like,
congratulations.
Alex, are you super passionate about animals? And I was like, okay, do you love martial arts? And she's, I like to fight. And she like, I was like, okay. I was like, you're really good. You're like beating up on guys. Like maybe you should try to compete at the national level. And she was like, I did nationals when I was a teenager. And I was like, why'd you stop? And then she told me like, you want to tell them the story? Like, I guess your school like shut down
Oh,
or.
yes. So I originally trained in Chattanooga and I was at a school. I got my black belt when I was 14. And then really soon after that, the school closed down because the student count just kept going down. They couldn't keep it up. And then pretty much after that, like some of my coaches would train at like a random karate school or they would have like a spot at like a fitness gym or somewhere. And I would just kind of train here and there with them. And then eventually they just got too busy with their lives. And then I just started training on my own for like 5 to 7 years, pretty much on my own after that.
They needed this podcast to help them.
Yeah, I think she started
Too bad.
documenting her training at home because her husband had a fitness channel. I think originally it was Wong's Workout or something like that. And then he had her as a guest, like instructor, like Alex is going to kick. And then they're like, all the comment people are like, we want to see her. And she like took over the channel. This is pretty awesome. Yeah. And then,
Yeah, I saw some of the videos. It's very entertaining and informative. Going back to the drills part, do you use targets, wave masters, or do students kick in the air? Can you like on explain how your drills are set up so that the majority of our target market are school owners, they're not the students. And I would like to give them fresh, different perspective and drill sets that they could incorporate into their school so that, because honestly, when you're doing day to day and you're just focused on your school, you don't see or hear outside, you get tunnel vision, and you could only do so many things before everything repeats itself. That was the way with me. That was the way with my staff. It was just the same repeating drills over and over. But it's great to see and hear how others like yourself do it so that they could incorporate some of those drills into how their techniques and their classroom. What is that like,
So I try to mix up
Alex?
pretty much try to do like paddle work. I have drills for that, have drills for bags, and then have drills on the air as well. Because sometimes, especially depending on the class size, I may not be able to do paddles. They may not be able to hold for each other, or it's just easier just to have them do bag drills and stuff like that. So it kind of just depends on the class size and the class level as well. Black belts, they can hold paddles for each other. So just kind of basing it off of that. And then what I want to work on, if I want to do cardio kicks. So like I'll like give them like a number and they're put groups on the bags and their group has to complete this many kicks. It's kind of disguised repetition. So it's like they're doing a couple hundred kicks, but it's kind of fun because they're working together as a group to complete it. And then
Is it time so that group has to beat the other group in terms of speed?
sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I'll just let them finish their reps. Just kind of depends if I want them to just kind of get it done quicker or just make sure everyone just finishes. But just kind of depends on the group as well. What motivates them?
Oh, very cool.
to the side, but like eventually when she came on board and she moved down and all of that, I think she was mainly motivated. I don't think she drove for the job because I don't think like the finances really drove Alex initially. I think it was mainly she wanted to compete. So I was like, the agreement was like, I'll coach you and I'll train you. You know what I mean? And she had a lot of raw talent and she had a lot of drills that she did, but a lot of the nuances for strategy and like she never really had a consistent coach in her chair at a high level. So I use that. So like for any school owner listening, so some of you are like, how in the world did you get, because this is famous. So like when we go to tournaments, she will have a line of people. Like I'm talking like 10 people, sometimes 3 people will be waiting, but throughout the course of a day, she'll talk to 30, 40, 50 people. And she's actually quite shy. Like when you hear her talk here a little bit, or she's on her YouTube channel, she talks a lot, but like in person, she's actually pretty chill and pretty shy. So I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know how well she's going to turn out as an instructor, but I just know that I needed a female instructor. And I'm like, sometimes it's ready, fire, aim. And the agreement was, I'll train you. You got to learn how to teach class. And she didn't care about Pumse. I'm like, hey, I don't like Pumse. No problem. I said, but we got to teach it. And then I also have like weapons, combos. And it was like this whole thing where I knew that her motivator was not money. I knew it was on the list, but I knew her highest thing was she wanted to know what it would be like. And I had a training routine for her. And then I created a schedule for competition. And I said, hey, listen, I know that you are going to make this drive, you're going to make this move, you're going to take this huge risk, but what is important to you? I have staff members that fight in like amateur and they're trying to make it to pro MMA fights, right? So they're in the NFC, they try to fight these kickboxing matches, these amateur and then pro MMA matches. I have staff members that like to coach flag football, right? So that's all the time and on Saturdays. That's tough. I have staff members that want to be home for their kids when they get off the bus some days of the week. So I learned a long time ago that they're in no particular order. There's finances, right? There's a work-life balance. And then there's the question mark. There's the mystery item. And for Alex, her mystery item was competition, right? And then her very first time I took her to nationals, I took her to ATU nationals and she whooped up on people. I'm like, oh, we're going at you. And then she was very competitive. I think her first time at you, she made it to the finals, qualified for team trials. So we were like, oh, we're going to keep doing this. And then during COVID, which was crazy, she actually got to go to the Olympic alternate team trials and she had some good fights there. It was great. But just to be in the mix, her weight division at 53 kilos or 57 kilos, she's gone back and forth. It's a very competitive weight division, especially in the United States. That's like Anastasia Zolotic and you have Faith Dillon. You have a lot of great players. And these ladies were in their teens when Alex was competing with them the first time around. And then Alex is in her 30s. And just to be in the mix, I feel that Alex is like living this. Everybody wants to go do great things, but they don't get a chance to try. So that was her mystery item. And then through the course of that, she has been tremendous value to the school because she runs Smyrna and she's a key instructor. Like for COVID, we didn't know what the heck we were doing by going on Zoom and online and how do you do this? And is it opposite? Is it mirrored? What are we doing? But she was very pivotal, not in just helping us understand how virtual learning works, because we didn't oftentimes see everybody because sometimes they didn't have their camera on. Sometimes the class was so big, we can't see everyone. So learning how to teach virtually without any conference feedback, just almost like streaming classes. And then we were like, hold on, these people don't have paddles and bags at home. And she obviously knew about a lot of drills because if you look at her YouTube channel, like she learns to teach you how to break down techniques without any equipment, how to do it from home, literally. She was actually very pivotal, right? Yeah, if you could actually share some of the drills that you helped us go implement during COVID. And then even now, we still have students that train virtually, or there'll be adults that travel and they want to know how to like keep up with their practice. I think that would be great to hear because some school owners, they have students that are virtual still.
If you're a martial arts school owner who feels overwhelmed, stuck, or frustrated trying to grow your school, you're not alone. Most school owners are wearing every hat: marketing, sales, staffing, retention, and still wondering why growth feels harder than it should. You're trying different ideas, watching videos, listening to podcasts, but you're missing clear direction and real accountability. That's exactly why we created ASA Live. Asa Live is a monthly live coaching and strategy session led by Master Chan Lee, Master Tony Chung, and the team behind the Black Belt Banter podcast, designed specifically for martial arts school owners who want real answers. We break down what's working right now in marketing, operations, leadership, and revenue, and you could bring your specific school questions to every session. And here's the crazy part. Asa Live is only $97 per month. That's it. The lowest price in our industry while delivering some of the highest value, most actionable content available anywhere. That's half the price of a coffee per day, and the return on your investment can be game changing. We priced it this low on purpose so every serious school owner could be in the room. If you're tired of guessing, tired of doing this alone, and ready to grow with clarity, Asa Live is for you. Join us today at asamartialarts.com/live and start building a school that can add thousands in monthly revenue, improve cash flow, and increase profits without working more hours. For $97 a month, even one new student, one saved cancellation, or one better price program can pay for Asa Live many times over. Stop leaving money on the table. Build a school that actually earns what it should.
Yes, sir. I would say one of the biggest drills that I've used for online is just having them use a chair. So the chair, you can use isolation drills, kind of like wall kicks. You hold on the chair, hold your leg up, work on technique. It also burns your legs. So it's kind of working that. And then sometimes I'll use a chair where you just kick over it as well. So kind of working on just kicking over it, doing like crescent kick motions. You can do your roundhouses, you can do your side kicks, kind of working on the chambers coming back. And then sometimes kind of pretending it's a person. So you're not actually making contact with the chair, but just visually you're kind of looking at it, doing footwork around it, or doing kicks, motioning at it as well. So that's probably the number one thing I use a lot, just because everyone has access to a chair, no equipment, and then you can do multiple different types of drills with it too.
What about for like new students? How do you incorporate that? Because obviously, brand new students coming in their first month of training, first couple of weeks of training, they can't just jump into a fast paced line of high speed drills. How do you incorporate that? Do you just take them off to the side and teach them technique first? Do you just put them right in along with the rest of the class? What do you do there,
If
Alex?
I have extra help, like some assistant black belts, I'll have them kind of stay with them to work with them to keep up. Or what I also like to do is like progression type drills. So I'll start with something really, really simple and then I'll stick with it and I'll just keep building on it. And then next thing you know, someone who's a little bit newer, they can somewhat progress with it. And then those people who are a little bit more advanced, by the end of it, they have a full kind of combo with some footwork and some kicks. So just kind of just really progressing, just sticking with one thing, something simple like slide. And then we drill that for a little bit. And then you'll add slide and then kick. And then you'll add slide kick. And then you land and do like a back kick off of that. So just kind of just taking it step by step. But by the end of it, you have something that can be useful for everybody.
Do you have music going on during this time, or do you not?
Depends what
Do you-
portion of the class it's at. So if it's towards the end of the class, there'll be music going on. And then sometimes I'll switch the audio over if I want music, if it's going to be that type of class where we're working on that as well.
Yeah, because man, my classes, I had them on just paddles, and we would have 4 or 5 rows of just lines of paddles, and then we would switch the paddles to like wave masters, and then we would switch back to paddles. So they're doing the same drills. It just seemed different because we're after a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, we would just switch the object of what they're kicking. And instead of just having them kick in a line and then go back in the line, they would kick and then cross over to the next line, cross over to the next line, so that the instructors that are holding the lines, they would all kick in front of a different instructor as well. Can you go over how, your drills go? Is it similar to that? Is it completely different?
I'll do
What is
I'll
that,
do
Alex?
something similar if I have multiple instructors on the floor, but we'll each do a different kick. So that way when they come to a
Mm.
different line, they're doing something different. So like I may work on just drills where we're doing counter drills. Someone else might be good at helping with back kicks, so they're going to do back kicks. Someone else might be doing like cardio kicks. So that way they are doing something a little bit different each time. And then I can also make a few rotations without it feeling like they're doing the same thing over and over again because it keeps changing every time they rotate as well.
And our
What
system,
about for,
I'm sorry, our
I'm
system
sorry,
is,
what about for, go ahead, Master.
I was going to say, our system is designed so that we usually have about 24 marks on the floor at our campuses, and you're going to have 24 people in class sometimes, and the system will be designed so that one person can teach the entire class. And if you do have extra help for activities, you can divide and do things like that. But ideally, they're either partner holding, they're using a stationary bag, but everything is just disguised repetition. And if you have extra people, you might have a coach in the back, right? You have the 24 people on the floor, then you might have a guide in the front. If you don't have a third person as a guide, you can use a senior student or an ideal model student. But ideally, what I personally prefer, and Alex can attest to this too, like when I train Alex, wants me to hold targets for her, she wants me to train her, I'll give her some work to do. And as she's gone up in competition level, I don't have the time. She has to train 5 days a week. I don't have the time to be with her 5 days a week. I'm lucky nowadays if I see her once every 2 weeks, once every week. So she has to do those drills on her own, right? So all of our systems are designed. It doesn't matter if you're at Alex's level trying to compete at the highest competition levels in Taekwondo, or if you're a new beginner. The goal is whatever instructor that you have for that class or in that situation, it should be able to run the drills. And it's not a perfect scenario, but the ideal thing is comparison kills joy. So if you have some lines that Master Hong is in that line, and he's doing a great job, and then you have Johnny, instructor Johnny, that is a new instructor, and he's just not very personable, then he may not be doing a bad job, but compared to Master Hong's line or Alex Wong's line, it's a problem. So the goal, in my opinion, for good drills is whatever the instructor is in charge of the entire class. So if Alex is teaching class, I'm pretty positive that like from start to finish, there could be moments in class where you can assign them a helper, but the goal, because we do rotational curriculum, is Alex, for the classes that she teaches, she's in charge from the start to the finish of that class. And they're having class with her, not with anyone else. You know what I mean? And it's not a perfect scenario, but if you want to be able to afford career instructors like Alex has been with, us for 8 years, and hopefully we'll have her for 8 more plus, you have to have career wage, livable wage. And then she still needs to be able to compete because she wants to ideally compete at the US Open, not just nationals, but she wants to do an international event next year. And that requires travel, that requires time. And so when it comes to the drills, you could do a whole bunch of different things. But what I like about what Alex has done on her YouTube channel that we've incorporated into the schools, she does a lot with progressions. Progressions are super, because Alex, I've never had students in India. Like Alex has had people all over the world watching her videos week by week, even to this day, even though she doesn't put videos, she gets new comments every day. And that she tries to do her best to go in there and comment back. And then she did a Patreon class for a while where she was teaching people all over the place at different time zones. And now as the head instructor at Smyrna, she has like a bigger obligation. And then, the goal, in my opinion, is whatever drills you have, try to have a system. So she had this system of progressions that she did teaching, never really seeing her students, right? Because they were all over the world. She's arguably more respected and known than I am because she has hundreds of thousands of followers all over for years. And the reality is that when I saw that, I was like, ooh, I like that progressions, disguised repetition, all the things that she was saying. How can we implement that into systems so that it affects not only the classes that Alex teaches, but all the classes, all of the instructors have learned from her progressive drills?
Alex, let's say for a school owner, a master instructor doesn't have a staff. He's doing it. He's the only one on the floor. He doesn't have other instructors or black belts helping, holding targets and so forth. What are some drills that they can do as a singular person that makes it a high energy for a student of 20, 25 students in that class? What do you recommend there?
So the biggest thing for that would be, instead of just giving them like a kick, like if you're doing kicking lines, instead of them just kicking and keep rotating, you kind of do it on your count. So you have like one person up or one person on each side of the bag, and you're doing it by your count. They're having to react to the paddles, see who kicks the bag faster. That kind of gets them excited. Even when they're waiting in line, they're saying, "Ooh, which one of my friends is going to kick faster?" Just kind of stuff like that. Make it a little bit more engaging, a little bit more like a game as well. That way, they're going to be doing that same roundhouse kick for like 10 minutes, but they don't realize it because it's more of a game and it's fun, and they're kind of watching everyone too.
That's a great advice because I have learned that younger instructors, they're teaching the class sometimes more fun than I would do
Yeah.
because we grew up in a different type of training, right? It was more rigid, it was slower paced. But like these younger instructors, they get very creative on their class. And when you give them the freedom, yeah, they have to obviously teach the set curriculum that you instilled as the school. But when they get the curriculum to teach how they want to teach it, that required curriculum, they get very creative. And almost always, it's always a faster pace, high energy class that the kids could relate more to. And it's amazing that these kids are more relatable to these instructors than these old masters now. So I found that very
Yeah, one thing I noticed about, because all the instructors are slightly different, but one thing I noticed about Alex's her classes, as they get higher up in rank, they just do a lot of, they just kick a lot. They do. Some people are different. Like when Alex does her personal kick sessions, she'll do a couple thousand kicks in a kick session, and she just goes to work. That's why it worked. Most athletes that compete at Alex's level, she doesn't have a lot of training partners. She has some, but they just kick with her. You know what I mean? And she'll do some sparring and stuff. But the key is she knows that she has to do a certain amount of kicks every week. And she'll get in there and she'll do her couple thousand kicks. And she'll do right side, left side, front leg cancels, this, that. She'll do some line drills, she'll stretch. But she has a program that she follows, and it's tough. It sucks. And then she does it, you do a deprivation. So sometimes even in the summertime, she'll turn the heater on at the school, because like it'll be like 85, 88 degrees, and you're just putting work in. So I think like one thing you'll notice, what I see is that the lower level classes, they're in lines, they're doing disguised repetition. But as you get up into a higher rank, they're just going to work. It's like when you go to the gym, you see some people that are just out there and they're just walking around and rotating. And then some people, they just go there and they just go to town. They're just working. And I think that her ideal student will learn those progressions and those systems. And then eventually when they get into the higher ranks and the higher classes, they're just drilling, because you don't have a lot of time. Some classes are 45 minutes, right? So when you have 20 minutes to kick in a class, or if you have an activity and you have maybe 15 minutes other than curriculum, they're not talking. They got to just go. You got to go, got to kick.
absolutely to make these students a better Taekwondo athletes or martial art athlete. It's repetition. The more they kick, the better, the faster they're going to kick, the better they're going to kick. And even though they're doing roundhouse kick hundreds of times in that 15 minutes, that's the only way that they're going to get better. You could explain all you want for 15 minutes, how to turn crop properly, how to snap, so forth. But if they're not kicking for that 45-minute, 40-minute, 50-minute, two, once, twice, 3 times a week sessions, these students are not going to get better.
Absolutely. I just thought of something, like once she started learning the curriculum and becoming like, she always likes the activity. And whenever we're doing a sparring month, we do our sparring and self-defense month in 1 month, and then we do our forms and weapons month. So like the forms and weapons month, it's probably a grind for her. She's okay. But once she got a hold of our curriculum, and then she got her students testing for black belt and doing very well. And then we have league as well, where like each school has a sparring team, and then they fight each other like on rotation at scrimmages. Like once she started seeing her students going through the entire system, and 5.5 years, 7 years down the road when they're testing for black belt, and then seeing how well they do, I think that she got a lot of confidence saying, oh, I can teach now. I not only know how to train them to be a good kicker, I can teach them how to earn their black belt. She actually became a formidable salesperson, right? Because I just wanted to put that in there, because and when she first learned how to sell, I was like, it came out of necessity. I was like, oh, like I need you to step in and do some sales meetings, because we do have agreements and we do have an upgraded program. We have several of them. And then she was like, okay, sir. And then she doesn't really talk very much, so she would just be very good at it. And I think it came from the fact that she came from a teacher's standpoint. She wasn't like, we don't have program directors at our school. We have people that do more of the selling and some that do more of the teaching. But now it's almost most of my masters and instructors and high-level instructors like Alex, they mainly are teachers that will go and just talk to the students and then go over any challenges that they have about the question for them to move up in the program. But Alex is absolutely fantastic. And I think that comes from her genuine stance as a teacher. If you're genuinely a good teacher, And if it's good for their child, you just talk to the parents, you share your opinion on it, and then the parents are like, okay, we'll do it. And I just wanted to put that out there because it's pretty fascinating on the dichotomy of running a martial art academy that is also a business. We have certain obligations to enroll people and to overcome objections. They could be reasonable objections, but it's crazy. Sometimes it seems like it's been way longer than 8 years. And then other times it's, man, I can't believe it's only been 8 years. It's crazy. But she went from commuting an hour and a half to 2 hours each way, 5-6 days a week, to now being in Atlanta. She's worked in film, like she was in Cobra Kai, and her husband does a lot of stunts now. But her and her husband both work in the academies. They do very well. And I'm just so proud to see like how martial arts has not just changed my life. I really do feel like it has changed her life. And I don't feel like she's had to compromise, because in that 8 years, like you said, Master Hong, she went from 30,000 to over 100,000 subscribers. She got her silver play button. Do you have it with you?
I can go grab it.
Oh, go grab it. I want
Okay,
you to
okay.
show everybody. Go grab.
What is a silver play
Yeah,
button?
once you get over 100,000 subscribers and you maintain it, you get this, like, you can't buy them. Like, you have to earn it. It's like getting your mastership in YouTube. It's like super rare. Look at that.
Oh. And that's sent to you by
Yes.
YouTube? Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then Instagram, she got
Okay.
a lot of
I have
people on
a question for
Instagram.
Alex. Alex, what's more fulfilling, teaching these kids or working with animals at the animal shelter?
I get it just depends. It's fulfilling both ways, but I would say right now, obviously working with the kids, because I'm with them longer.
What about, okay, so were you always a natural salesperson? Master Tony is saying how well you're doing at sales and enrollments and so forth. Or did you have to, this is a very, I'm glad we're talking about this on the podcast, because a lot of our school owners, they're hiring staff, curating their instructors, bringing their staff development is all part of our business. And it gives a great perspective to school owners of, oh, I should talk to my staff this way. I should focus this part with the staff as well. For you though, Alex, was enrollment and sales process, was that natural for you, or did you have to get out of your comfort zone to do something like
Oh
that?
no, I definitely had to get out of my comfort zone because I don't like talking to people at all. So I definitely had to get out of my comfort zone. But then once I started connecting and talking with the parents, just about something that I enjoy, which is martial arts, that kind of made it easier.
I remember the first
How
time
did
I got the contract, I was like, here's the agreement, fill it out. I highlighted the areas that are super important, and I'm like, fill it out. And then she fill it out. And I got out of the chair. I was like, you sit down there. And then we just did it a couple of times. And then I was like, yeah, that's it. So now you just got to overcome it. And then I was like, listen, I learned a long time ago, if you get in a batter's box and you strike out 7 times, but you get 3 hits, and you do that over the course of a career, in baseball, you can be a Hall of Fame candidate. You know what I mean? And it's just a discipline. It's a discipline. What's that guy's name? The Ohtani, the guy from like the Dodgers, supposedly arguably.
The most popular baseball player on the face of the
Yeah,
earth.
he's supposed to be history.
Shohei Ohtani.
Yes.
Who makes hundreds of millions. You didn't, you forgot his name.
Well, I don't really follow like baseball, but I noticed that I think when he was like 15 or 16.
He's the only modern day
I know,
baseball
he's like
player
a
that
goat,
can
right?
pitch and hit.
But have you seen that? He has this graph or this Punnett square or this thing. It's like his little version of Ikigai. Like he has this part of it where it's called karma. And then his boxes that he filled up around that was like cleaning his room, respecting the umpires, his behavior, his etiquette, his decorum. And he's known that like when he created, like he wanted to have 100-mile-an-hour fastball, that once he created his perfect like structure of what it would take for him to be a good pitcher, it actually made him, he's a brand, right? And the thing is that when somebody has what it takes, in my opinion, because I have had staff members that I met at Costco that were like extremely high-level salesmen for DirecTV, where I met Alex. She was a YouTuber. She wasn't making a ton of money from YouTube, still doesn't, but like she's an outlier. She's different. Like when you're out there at a tournament, like at a scrimmage, rumble, sparring a bunch of boys and men, and then you have a camera crew, right? And she's an awesome fighter, an awesome person. And like, you have to deal with the people in the comments. I get offended. Sometimes I'll read her comments. I'm like, did you see what they said? Oh my gosh. Like, how do you deal with that? I'm going to find them, Alex. She's like, it's okay, sir. It's just how it is. Or we'll be at a tournament. Like when I first started going to tournaments, if she, she's human. If she loses, they're like, put that on YouTube, YouTuber. And I'm like, what did you just say? I want a flying sight. I want a clothesline. I want to rip heads off. But she's just, they're just, people are brutal. So like a YouTuber like Alex is a special kind of person. And then given the right opportunity, she's going to be an amazing master one day. She runs a very successful academy with hundreds of students. She's still maintained her YouTube. She's worked in film now, and her husband is successful. I love seeing what martial arts does. Like martial arts, as Master Hong, you don't need to be doing this podcast. You know what I mean? We do this because we love that martial arts help shape our lives. And our goal is to inspire, even if it's just one person that listens to this podcast. And I know it's more than that because we get DMs, we get messages, we get phone calls about how great this is. But Alex, I want you to know that even though you were like some crazy teenager doing YouTube and then eventually became an adult, and then you're like this crazy person driving from Chattanooga, working in Georgia, driving across the state line twice a day, and then learning curriculum. You're not a forms person, to selling programs and getting black belts ready for their udanjas, to now being on a podcast sharing your journey. I think it's really important. Like, what would you say to like school owners that are, could you imagine, and I don't want to put them on blast, but whatever school owner that was in Chattanooga that shut that school down, that had the black belt, that you had Alex Wong, right? That has touched millions of people across the world. And then she runs a very successful location in Smyrna. It's probably because they lost hope. It's not because maybe they're like, it's just too hard. You know what I mean? Because Master Hong, you and I both know that if we had a chance to talk to that school owner in Chattanooga, and I know how it is, a lot of school owners, they're a police officer or they're a firefighter or they have an engineering job and they're like, oh, rent's going up and people quit too easy nowadays. It's a different generation of kids with a couple of dials, a couple of switches, a couple of adjustments, maybe getting better in a couple of things, in a couple of ways. Could you imagine if you were Otani's baseball coach and you told him he was wasting his time? Seriously.
It's hard. It's in our industry, as in any industry, it's very hard. If you have another full-time job and you're doing TaeKwonDo studio or martial arts studio on the side, that's very difficult. It's difficult to do this 100%, giving 100% of your attention and time to have your school successful, but to be doing a separate job full-time and then trying to do this in the afternoon and evenings, it's really stacked against you. And I don't recommend that at all. But you're absolutely right. That's why our podcast really resonates with our audiences. That's why ASA, American School Owners Association, that you and I are part of, Master Tony, really resonates with our industry, is because we understand the plight of these school owners. And it's not one thing that they're not doing is making a struggle for the school. It's not because their marketing isn't great. It's not just because they're not getting enough students. If you're not teaching great classes, and by great classes, if you don't have great drills like Alex is doing, then it doesn't matter how many people that you bring in, they're all going to leave after a few months. Why? Because their kids are not motivated. The parents are not enthused. And on the flip side, even if you're doing great classes, but you're weak on marketing, you're weak on sales, you're weak on bringing new students in, you're not going to survive. Because even though you have 100 students now, natural attrition, no matter how great your classes go, you're going to lose 10, 15 students a month just by them moving, by different jobs. So you need all that great classes, great business plan, great system, great marketing, great sales. You need all of that sound to increase your student count, get better at your business, increase your enrollments, increase your income and your revenue. And that's how you're going to be successful. But going back to instructor Alex, I honestly believe, like, how did you get out of your shell to start enrolling the parents yourself? Because honestly, it's not how great your sales are. If the parents believe who you are
Oh
and
yeah.
they see you teach their kids in class, they're gonna, doesn't matter if your sales are great or not, they're gonna follow you to the end. You could just be like, Mrs. Smith, sign right here. I want your son in for the next 12 months. They'll be like, done. You don't need to sell them on anything because you already sold them in the school. You already sold them in the class. And that's better than someone with a slick business style,
Yeah.
slick sales technique, like a car dealership, trying to, because today's day and age, parents, consumers, they're very well informed now. They know all about sales technique.
Yeah.
They all know about sales, procedure. They know what's up. But if you're genuine and authentic and they know that you want the best for your kids and you're working hard on their kids, and you want the best lifestyles and techniques and getting them and making them kick hundreds and thousands of times in class throughout the week, those they'll follow you to the end no matter what. What has your experience been like, Alex? Is it because of your sales, or have you found that these parents are just naturally more open with you because you've been working with these students?
I think, being like the teacher definitely helps. But I know the first thing that I did before I started doing enrollments was I had to sign everyone up for testing. So I think that's kind of what led into me talking to the parents about their child, getting them signed up for testing. I was able to talk about their progress in class and then closing on that testing fee. So I think that's kind of where it started. And then I got used to talking to all the parents because I had to go sign up everyone for testing. So once I was comfortable with that, I got more comfortable talking to all the parents there. They got comfortable with me and I got more comfortable talking with them. And then I think from there, that's what really opened it up for me.
So is it by repetition of just you being able to talk with them, getting them purchase these testing examination fees first, and then you got more comfortable moving on to
Yeah,
enrollments? Is that just by
yes, just
repetition?
getting those reps in and just making me feel more comfortable, just overall, just talking with them, I think is what really helped.
Very similar to just having students just do tons of repetitions on these kicks and
Yeah.
techniques that and then do hundreds and thousands of them to get better and faster and
Exactly.
stronger.
Yeah. It's not like a trick. Like I used to think that there were so many shortcuts and like you want to learn sales strategies. And man, I just think that Alex not only can teach them how to kick, she kicks thousands of times every week herself. She loves it. You know what I mean? You truly, this is what she does. You know what I mean? And in my opinion, as a school owner, if you get to the point where you're like, okay, we don't even need to get together because we could just use Zoom. We're just going to go over the numbers. We'll go over how many external marketing events, internal marketing events, this and that. Oh, why was your closing ratio this? And if it's just a bunch of numbers, right? At the end of the day, probably what makes it Otani, what allows Alex to be what she is right now is she delivers. Like it's somebody's a good salesman when they sell people. And I think that you could try to do things to increase your probabilities. But again, I got rid of the concept 12 years ago. I don't have program directors that go in there and just sell like that. Selling is not a full-time job. Teaching is a full-time job. And I think selling is just something that you do on occasion. It's really Parkinson's law. You can expand the work to fit the time allotted and the resources allotted. If you want to make it a full-time job, you can make sales a full-time job. But I just think that if you have raving fans and if you have people like that stick around for years, like Alex has had students taking her classes, just so you guys know, we don't have like a fake copy of her silver play button and a huge shrine dedicated. Like when you walk in, you wouldn't even know that Alex Wong teaches at that location. Like it's not on our website. Like we don't do that because I think that's like I've never asked Alex that, nor would I want to do that. That's just not our style. She doesn't endorse us and do like ads we don't do that. Like, why would you do that? That's so off-putting. Like I make fun of it all the time and I feel bad because some of my friends have schools and we're a black belt school. You know what I mean? All this stuff on like, it says like Olympic and I'm like, they don't even go to tournaments. And it like says Olympics. They have the Olympic. You can't have the freaking Olympic rings. Like it's like a trademark violation. Like,
Master Tony, what are your recommendations to the single school owners who are teaching these classes, 4, 5, 6 classes a day, but they need to do signups, enrollments, and they're single school operator and they don't have, what is your recommendation? How should they enroll the students, the parents, like afterwards, the next day,
Yeah.
the following day, the evening? How does that work?
Okay. So the first thing is you need to really go to your school. Like I'm at one of my locations now, it's empty. Get on the mat when nobody's there and really ask yourself, do you truly believe in what you're doing? If you believe in what you're doing, charge a fair price, create your model, whatever your model is, right? Whatever your business model is. And then you need to make sure that the value proposition, the benefit is greater than the cost. And then once you do that, create systems and then find great people, yourself starting, run that system. And then I would put people before profit. When I met Alex, I wanted a female instructor for my girls that trained at my school. I didn't say, oh, this is a money-making opportunity. I didn't look at it that way. I never had money for a very long time. And money will ebb and flow. It comes and goes, right? So, and when you die, you can't take any with you. That's my belief. But what I can take with me is, what did I leave behind? And in some small way, I know for a fact, I helped interrupt Alex's life path. And I know that Alex has interrupted the life path of all of the students that she's taught online and in person, right? And everything in between. And that has innumerable value, right? And I just think that if you do that and you have a big enough purpose, all of the other things will fix themselves. You know what I mean? But there's no marketing strategy. I hate marketing. You know what I mean? I'm not a very good marketer. If I was a better marketer, I'd probably have a bigger business. Marketing and sales, to me, it's more service and sharing, right? If you have a great service and product and you do a decent enough job sharing it, that's what it's all about. And then I think that any school owners that are listening to this, right, just understand that you have people like Alex in your school now that could be running the school, because part of success is succession. And I think that you have to have a system too, because Alex can't be teaching classes, 5 classes a day, 5 days a week, all day long, traveling and competing. Succession is what's next. And I'm so glad that when we started, I was so glad to hear, because I've been putting it in her ear nonstop, be a great master. And she knows that she's got to know a bunch of forms and she's got to do them well. And then a master means that you develop good black belts in our system, right? So she has to be a great teacher. But it's great to hear that, because this is what I've known about people. If you have parents, and if all that is holding your marriage together is your children, when the kids go off and you become an empty nester, you start looking at each other and be like, let's get divorced. You know what I mean? And I know that Alex has so much to offer. If all her life was to be a competitive black belt, competing at tournaments, that the minute, because she ruptured her Achilles a couple years ago, right? There's the question, can I come back? And she's coming back. But when she retires from fighting, when that time comes, she can coach other players. And then for her to say that she can become a master and then teach martial arts, that makes me so happy, because that was not on her list for her dream. But for that to be in the mix, that's amazing, because there's so many people that they're ready to give up on their dream of having a school, because every school owner that's thinking about closing their school right now, at one point they dreamed of just having a school. And here they are, just want to get rid of it. You know what I mean? And I think that you should just fix what's broken. You know what I mean? It's not permanent. And I know it's possible. And I keep plugging this, but come listen to the podcast, join us on ASA Live. We start this new live thing because people are asking. And then come to ASA. We're going to be at Vegas this year, right? It's going to be in Planet Hollywood?
Yes, Planet Hollywood, October 2026. We offer so much range of services, including our podcast that we do consulting, ASA consulting with yourself, Master Tony Chung. You offer the consulting services. We have ASA Live with Master Tony and Master Chan Lee and myself that we are starting in January 15th. And then we have the ASA Summit. Summit is where we all meet in Las Vegas, Planet Hollywood in October 2026. and we just share and network and just motivate and make sure that we get to that next level. Yeah, absolutely. That's well said. Let's like wrap up. But before we wrap up, I want to ask Alex a couple of questions. One is, and I want to ask you this with a spotlight on you. If you could have Master Tony improve and be better for as a master for you, what would that be, Alex? What would you like to see Master Tony do better for your personal benefit?
I don't know. I mean, I guess just train more, but that's like whenever we train, I get everything I need from him. So we're very efficient, I feel.
Very well politically said. And then the final question would be, if a school owner, if a master instructor could change one thing about their kicking drills tomorrow or today to make their classes instantly better, what would that be?
I would say try not to overcomplicate things because a lot of my drills, I'm just using like roundhouse kicks, but I'm just thinking of different ways to utilize the roundhouse kick. So don't think if you need to have like crazy kicks or combos all the time. Sometimes just take something simple and then just build upon that. Do it in different ways. Do it in a competitive way. Do it for high reps. Do it for time. Stuff like that. That way anyone can do it, whether you're a beginner or you're more advanced. So just kind of don't overcomplicate it and just keep things simple. Sometimes it's always the best.
That's great advice. Thank you, Miss Alex Wong. That wraps up today's episode of the Black Belt Banter. Huge thank you to Alex Wong for sharing her insight, creativity, and passion for building better kicking drills. If you're not already following Alex, make sure you check out her YouTube channel. It's packed with tutorials. We'll put it in our show notes or our YouTube description below. And of course, a big thank you to Master Tony Chung, co-hosting with me on today's episode, and always appreciate your expertise and energy on the mic. If today's conversation even gave you one drill, one class idea, or one teaching insight, do us a favor and share this episode with another instructor or school owner, and make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss another episode from us. At Black Belt Banter, our goal is simple: help school owners teach better, lead better, and grow with stronger communities through martial arts. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.